Hello, and welcome to Very Drunk Q&A. I'm Alkia Storiker, and yeah, thank you for 2,500 subscribers. Um, I'm quite drunk, so you're gonna hear a lot of mouth sounds, right? This is basically gonna be fucking mouth sounds ASMR or whatever. Um, yeah, I'm also not gonna edit this probably. Like I'll cut out some long pauses because apparently, when I start drinking, I turn into fucking William Shatner. Um, yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, I'm not gonna belabor the intro too much more. This is the same fucking intro that Big Joel used. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I will say this. I am not going to say who all asked the questions, with the exception of one person, because somebody told me that's a good idea. I don't know. Anyway, too drunk to think about it heavily. Anyway, on to the first question. Okay, the first question comes from Emily with a G. I'll talk a little bit more about Emily with a G in a moment because they brought up something in one of the videos that they made that I kind of want to talk about just briefly. Anyway, her question is top five presidents that you'd punch in the face, but they have the option to fight back, so choose wisely. Okay, all right, fuck it, let's go. Number five is gonna be Woodrow Wilson because yeah, fuck that guy. He was pretty fucking racist. Yeah, so I mean, I could take Wilson. Like that's not a problem. Come on, it's Wilson. Um, Number four definitely would be Jefferson. I don't think it's pretty controversial why. Sally Hemings deserves justice. I mean, all the slaves deserve justice. I could take Jefferson. Man didn't work a day in his life. I could take Jefferson. Okay, number three is definitely Reagan. Mainly because he fired all those air traffic controllers in 1981 and really inspired the demise of organized labor. At least, up until this point. Hopefully, we can build it back. We're starting to build it back to a degree. I don't know. I think I could get him. I think it depends on what point in, like if we're talking about like when he was president, I probably could do it. If it's after his presidency, he would, yeah, I could get him. I mean, by that point, yeah, no, he was dust. No, early in his life, I don't know. I probably could still take him. Might have to hide advantage on me a little bit, but no, I got him. Number two would be George Bush. All right, hold on a second. When it comes to George Bush, I think we all know why I would choose him to get punched in the face. But when it comes to actually fighting him, I don't know. George Bush is fit. I mean, hold on a second. I don't mean he's fit. Like he's like physically fit. Like I don't mean like fit in the English sense or whatever. But like uh, he's physically fit enough to put up a fight. And also, as we've seen, he is pretty good at dodging. So I don't know. I don't know. But I think I could get him. Give him the old one too. And then finally, I would choose Jackson. Andrew Jackson. Like, obvious reasons. I don't think I really need to belabor why I would choose him. I don't know about this one. Like, this is the only one on the list where I'm like, because when someone tried to attempt to assassinate him, it was Richard Lawrence, matter of fact. When he tried to assassinate Jackson, he got the shit beat out of him. And so I don't know, like I guess apparently Jackson nearly beat him, to an inch of his life. So I don't know. I don't know. It'd be a toss up. I think I could get Jackson if Jackson doesn't have his cane. I think I got him, but I don't know. It's definitely it'll be a close call. Okay, next question. What is your favorite alcoholic beverage? I'm sorry, I'll see myself out. So this one was also from Emily with a G, and a couple of other people also asked me this question. It's kind of hard to say actually. I would say that my favorite beverage above all is schnapps. I love schnapps. I have a bad history with schnapps. Once got completely blackout drunk on schnapps within 30 minutes. I had to piece together the next day, basically via Snapchat, because people took Snapchats of me. I was that drunk. So schnapps is definitely the beverage that I like the most. A close second is definitely rum. I would say I drink a lot of rum. I drink as much rum as I do German beer, and I love some German beer. That's what I'm drinking right now. So yeah, favorite drink is schnapps. Okay, next question. You're the president of the United States, and you have to pick Mao, Stalin, or Xi as vice president. Who are you picking? Okay, alright, shit. Well, Xi is out. I don't think I need to explain that one. So it's down to Mao or Stalin. Well, if I'm weighing if I'm weighing it, I'm probably gonna end up going with Mao, um, because he combated not so much the method that he used to combat landlords. You know, that's the big meme, but his decision to do something about the landlords, in grand fashion, I suppose, would heavily sway me towards his side as opposed to Stalin. Um, that being said, I don't know, I'm real big on space, so I can kind of see. I mean, I guess that's not specific to Stalin though. Like it's, I mean, he did play a role in it. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Mao. We're just gonna go with Mao. I'm not gonna sit here and argue with myself over that. Okay, next question. Why Alki for the channel name? So basically, this one takes a little bit of time to explain. So basically, I used to be really active in German Discord servers, gaming servers as well, but mainly German Discord servers, right? And in these German Discord servers, I used to drink a lot. I drink just generally in Discord. Like if I'm in a Discord chat, like I'm probably drunk. But when it came to German Discord servers, I was drunk so often that people basically ended up giving me a unique title. One of the titles that I got a lot was Historiker, which just means historian in German. And the reason that I got that is because I talk a lot about history when I'm drunk. And then the other title that I got a lot was Alki, which just means alcoholic in German. And that's basically where my name comes from. That's why I often call myself Alki Historiker. I really just took the two titles and combined them. Next question. What do you intend to do with your platform? So I guess the goal that I came up with when I initially started was to educate people on working class history and to look at the successes and failures of organized labor in the past and hopefully inspire people to engage in organized labor action today and to join unions and unionize your workplace if you don't have a union. That has been my main goal, I think, throughout the entire length of my channel. More recently, though, I've definitely kind of shifted to not just educating people on working class history, but also to educate people on more recent organized labor action. And I will actually be making some content about what you can do to organize your workplace, some different tactics. I'm currently trying to organize my workplace, so I'll at least be able to give you some experience with that. But I'm from the state with the second least amount of union membership, so my battle has been very uphill, and I don't really have a lot of experience with being in a union. I have much more experience with trying to get a union in my workplace. But yeah, that's my main goal. It's just to inspire people by talking about history that they often don't really learn about in school. Our working class history isn't really taught, not in detail, not in enough detail at least. And yeah, that's my goal. Next question: did you go to university, and if so, what did you study? I did go to university. It's kind of weird because like I don't really talk much about that, but I mean, yeah, I went to university. I studied history and German. So basically, I studied history. You know what history is, and I studied the German language, and a lot of my focus was German history. And when I was learning German history, like when you're learning a language, you learn about regular people, right? You learn about working class people, typically, right? You're learning about the type of people that you're gonna meet, the average person, and the average person is working class. So that's actually what got me into working class history was by learning German. I had a professor who spent a lot of time covering German working class people and German working class history, and it got me hooked. And uh, yeah, like that. That's why I'm here now, honestly. Um, anyway, next question. Your voice sounds familiar. Did you possibly do German voiceover for other videos before? So I haven't done any German voiceovers for other videos. Um, Now I do get it a lot that people say my voice is familiar. I don't know. I have a theory on why that might be. Because in gaming servers, a lot of people used to say, "Are you Michael Cera?" Like I used to get that a lot, right? That's actually my question for you all. Like, do I sound like Michael Cera? I think it's because whenever I used to talk in the past, I was quite nervous, and when I'm nervous, I like talk like this, and it's really soft, and it's like I kind of have that same flow that Michael Cera does, but I don't know. Like you all can ask me that or answer that in the comments. But if it's not just the I have a really familiar voice, which people tell me a lot. I don't think I have a familiar voice, but whatever. The other thing would be German learning servers. I used to be extremely active in German learning servers. I still am sometimes, not very often, and I typically am not using uh, like that the Aoki Discord account. But if you do find me, you can always say hello. Don't be shy. But again, I'll probably be drunk and I probably will speak German with you. So yeah, fair warning. Next question. What got you interested in anarchy, and why do you identify as an anarchist? Mm. I got interested in anarchy through Step Back History. I've even before I was a leftist, I was watching Step Back History. Tristan Johnson has always made just great content, and seeing kind of his videos and like learning quite a bit about history, and then learning that he was an anarchist, it kind of interests me. Like, okay, well, what is anarchism, right? Um, Eventually, I got around to searching it up, and one of the first results that I found was a video from Thought Slime, and I started watching Thought Slime's content. And the more that I watched Matt's content, I was hooked, right? But the final nail in the coffin was reading Emma Goldman. Like, oh my, I love Emma Goldman. She is in the top three of my favorite historical figures. If I could meet any historical figure, she's one of two that I actually genuinely want to meet and like sit down and have a coffee with. Um, yeah, now, why do I identify as an anarchist? And I kind of talked a little bit about my relationship with like coming to leftism in my video. The NBA made me an anarchist, and it's kind of funny because the NBA didn't really like. Obviously, it's clickbait, right? You got to do clickbait at some point if you're on YouTube. But the the NBA didn't, or that job did not make me an anarchist. I still was like 2 or 3 months off anarchism. Um, After like actually going to that job. I think what really happened is that as I started learning what anarchism is, and once I started actually learning about anarchist theory, I just gravitated towards it, and I really aligned with it. Like it really resonated with me. And the reason that I identify as an anarchist is because I believe that power structures should be oriented horizontally, and that any and all associations between people should be voluntary. Further building on that, like I'm, as you know, an anti-capitalist. I believe that even though I would not want a violent revolution, I do believe one day there will be a violent revolution, because capitalists and really just anyone in the ruling class, they're not going to give it up willingly. Um, but for me, that um, I would prefer that rather than having a transitory state, I would prefer to go straight into a sort of decentralized communist society. And I'll expand on that in a future video when I'm not drunk, or not as drunk, I guess. And kind of talk a little bit more about what I mean, because I have a video that's kind of talking about my transition at my current job to anarchism. But yeah, that's a video that's going to come out much later. I have to actually think about how I'm going to word it, because uh, it's my journey was a bit weird. But again, you'll see that video when it eventually comes out. Next question. There a country you would like to learn more about their labor history? This is a really good question. So normally I would say Germany, which seems a bit odd. I studied German history at university, but I personally feel like I don't actually know that much about German labor history. Um, that being said, to give a authentic answer, I suppose, um, I would probably say South Africa. I am very interested in the way that colonization and apartheid affected South Africa, and I'm interested in seeing how that affected labor and organized labor within South Africa. Um, I think eventually I will try and make something like a video or something like that on the topic, because I find it extremely fascinating. Plus, we'll get the chance to talk about Elon Musk, because I've always been thinking about making content that criticizes him. Uh, there's definitely a lot to do when it comes to labor. You want to talk about Elon Musk? There's definitely a lot you can talk about, but talk about South Africa, I think would be quite interesting. I think a lot of people would be interested in what they in organized labor in South Africa, especially involving Musk himself. Next question. What are common mistakes left and labor movements tend to make that harm their long-term goals? Ooh, so this is a good one. I would say that. So looking at, oh no, see, here we go. I would say in the past that the biggest mistake was not organizing with people of color, not organizing specifically with black people. That was a huge mistake. It effectively gave capitalists a whole group of people that they could use to strike break. And as we've discussed in the past, and we will soon discuss, that was very much the case for much of the 19th century. Another thing that I also kind of think was a mistake that relates to that is the way that modern unions don't really do a very good job of combating this knowledge, like combating the knowledge that a lot of previous unions were quite racist, or they had a lot of problems with racism. I think that capitalists not, or excuse me, I think that unions not doing a good job of covering that part of history ends up really making it hard to organize in the South, particularly amongst a lot of black people, because they can use that and say, like, capitalists can use that and they can say, look, unions are racist. Why would you want to join a racist organization, right? It's definitely one of those things that I wish that unions would do better, but I don't. I'm not surprised that they haven't done a particularly good job of doing, especially considering that, I mean, we have police unions and the AFL-CIO refuses to distance itself from police unions. So, but I mean, that's a whole video on its own. Besides that, I think that another thing that unions don't do a particularly good job with is organizing workers in various fields. Like, for instance, I don't think the UFCW has done a particularly good job when it comes to handling retail workers. That's from my personal experience. and also kind of from my experience of reaching out to the UFCW and not really getting any responses, like especially when I'm trying to actually actively organize my workplace. It is extremely frustrating when you're trying to do something and you're talking with the people who, really should be on board with you, the people who should be supporting workers who are trying to organize, and they just don't. I think that a lot of people feel like a lot of people who reach out to unions, that's one of their turnoffs, is they reach out to the union and they realize, like, wait a second, like I'm reaching out to this organization that should be on my side, and they, they're not getting back to me, they're not responding. And part of that has to do with like the amount of infrastructure that unions have and the amount of time and resources. But if you're gonna revive the labor movement, you need that. You need to be putting resources into unionizing workplaces, especially retail locations. I understand, like, hey, retail locations have a lot more resources than unions when it comes to like finances and the ways that they can organize against workers. I mean, you spend so much time in your workplace that they can feed you anti-union propaganda for 8 hours a day if they really want to. But those are kind of like my two big things, like not dealing enough with race and not putting enough resources towards recruiting and organizing workers within some fields. Next question. What city do you live in? Oh, okay. Nice try. Nice try, Stan Smith. See ya. Trying to speed run to my house. I won't say which city, but I will say that I live in the southeastern United States. And I already said that I live in one of the states with like the least amount of union membership. So you'll be able to figure that out. It's not that hard. Now that I think about it, actually, Stan Smith is CIA, so he does more foreign stuff. Actually, that's kind of weird because in the earlier seasons of American Dad, he was doing some domestic stuff. Like he did spy on some domestic individuals. He had a drone too, cause Steve, he was piloting the drone. Okay, all right, we're not gonna get into American Dad. That's off topic. Anyway, okay, next question. Oh, this I like this one. Okay. How do we bring the power of railroads back to the states and combat car culture? Okay, I like this one. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not do not eat, right? I cannot really give you a lot of like policy changes to make and things to fight for in the same sense that he can. But I would definitely say the two things that we need to do kind of initially, at least in my opinion, would be one, changing people's perceptions of trains. People hate trains. Well, your average person just does not like trains. I'm a bit confused as to why they don't like them. A lot of people say they're slow when they don't have to be slow. A lot of folks say they don't really run on time. And I mean, that's any type of transit. Like, it doesn't necessarily run on time, and obviously you can make things run on time, right? If you actually put enough money and resources into into that infrastructure. People just really don't like trains, and I think we need to change their perception of it. And I think a part of that is also looking at gadget bonds and the loop bullshit, and just saying like, hey, these are bad ideas. They look cool. They look revolutionary. They're not going to solve the problems that those people are actually, talking about. They're not going to solve traffic, right? And luckily, a lot of people are like looking at the loop, and the loop is so bad that people are just grilling it every day. I love that. So I think that's the first step, changing people's perspective on both trains and gadget bonds or just bullshit fucking magic solutions. And also, I think we need just to build more trains, right? Put more trains in cities and in urban areas, because I think once people start using it, then they'll be like, hey, this is actually kind of convenient. I had a guy at one of my jobs when I worked for the NBA. he started taking the train, and at first, like, he was like, "Yeah, I think the train's bad. You know, like, why would I want to take the light rail or whatever, right?" And eventually, this man came to love the light rail. He's like, "Yeah, it's convenient. I don't understand why more people don't take it." Uh, he's like, "There's you literally lose nothing from it. It's a faster commute. You don't have to deal with traffic. Like, why don't we have more of this?" And it's like, I want to like go off the rails. Oh shit! Oh, that was a bad pun. But I wanted to kind of go off and be like, oh, this is why, right? This is why more people don't use it. This is the perception that people have. This is why we don't have, you know, uh, we don't have good public transit in most cities. But you know, that was gonna turn them off from the trains or probably or whatever. But you know, whenever I get a chance to talk to people about that, I definitely do. And I think that, yeah, once we start building more trains, people will be like, hey, actually, I like this. This is actually good. It actually helps me. Like, those are my two recommendations. Um, Next question. If you were tasked with creating an American communist flag or other symbol, what would you make? Okay. This is a good one. Hmm. I mean, ideally, an American communist flag would be no flag at all, really, for me. But anyway, I would sign a flag that it would be mostly red. It would definitely have some blue to it. I think that like the American people, no matter what, if they're gonna have the navy blue on whatever type of flag that we have. If we have a communist American flag, like there's gonna be blue on it. Um, I don't know. I suppose that in the top left corner, I would probably include, rather than doing a hammer and sickle, I think I would do something that represents the service industry and then something that represents agriculture. So you could have, I really don't know, like a telephone. No, not a telephone. Like, I'm not really entirely sure what would best represent service workers, but that plus a sickle or a scythe or any sort of thing that represents agriculture. I think that a flag like that would resonate with a lot of people. And I mean, I think that's the whole thing about communist flags, communist symbols. Like, it's supposed to resonate with people, right? It has to. It's not just about looking good. Like, it has to like invoke a certain feeling. And so that's kind of what I would go with if I had to design one. But in the event that there's a revolution in the near future and people come to me saying, "Alki, will you please design something?" Just don't do that. Bad idea. I'm just gonna choose a black flag. Like, quite frankly, it's easy. It takes no thought into it. Represents my politics. Anyway, whatever. Um. Okay. There's a couple of questions that I want to cover before I get to the last question. There were questions that I've gotten on Discord that people didn't ask me, like like in writing or whatever. But nonetheless, they were like, "Hey, you should include your answer in the Q&A," and so I'm going to do that. Um, so one of the questions that I got had to do with my music taste, and we don't really have enough time for me to go through the whole thing about like what type of music I listen to. Um, but it's basically I listen to a lot of EDM, and if I had to break it down, I listen to there's three genres I listen to the most. I listen to glitch hop. If you don't know what glitch hop is, I'll include a couple of examples probably in the description. Drum and bass. Holy shit, I listen to a lot of drum and bass. My whole Seize the Mean September. All of those videos I wrote to like drum and bass. Like I listened to like Liquicity has these mixes, right? They're year mixes. And matter of fact, one's going to be coming out soon. I'm really excited for that. And I listen to those mixes quite frequently, or any sort of drum and bass mix. And then finally, I listen to a lot of electro swing, namely Caravan Palace. But again, I'll include examples of all the stuff I'm talking about. But I'm just saying, like, electro swing is, oh boy. it's not surprising. I'm a historian. I studied like a lot of 1920s history, so uh, not surprising that I really like electro swing. Um, Another question that I get, I don't want to say very often, but I get somewhat often is basically, will I ever make a response video? Um, I don't know. I in the past said I wouldn't do it just because I don't want to deal with the drama. And when it comes to organized labor and content that's like anti-union, like a lot of it's pretty bad. Like I'm not just even talking about like poorly researched. I mean, or poorly made. Like it's just sort of like it's made by people who really don't know much about unions. And so they have this really vague sort of critique of unions, and it's quite easy to debunk. Like it's kind of sad actually. Not to mention that a lot of people don't spend that much time making anti-union content because with the labor movement in decline and less people being members of unions as each year goes by, it seems like I guess a waste of time for them to make anti-union content. So, I personally haven't really. I just haven't found a video that I really want to respond to. There's been a couple that I thought were interesting videos, but I don't think that they would be good to be like, hey, anti-union arguments debunked by fucking Steven Crowder or whatever. Like the only video I can think of is like one that John Stossel did, and even that one's pretty bad. It's pretty like just like okay, all right, dude. So when it comes to that, like you won't see me really do any response videos to like history or whatever. I had thought about doing some response videos to like bad German history, but like Three Arrows basically does that, and quite frankly, I just don't really. I don't know. I feel like people would rather hear about that type of content from someone who's actually German. So I'm not ruling it out, but I would say it's fairly unlikely in the near future. But who knows? If the labor movement starts reviving itself, which again it's slowly doing, but very slowly, then yeah, once people start making bad anti-union videos again, then yeah, I definitely would. One thing I would actually consider making in terms of response video is talking about anti-union content. I've been thinking about this for a very long time about maybe making an anti-union video where we talk about all of the anti-union retail videos that companies come out with. Oh boy, a lot of them are pretty bad. It's mainly because they're dated. Most of them are, they were leaked like years ago, and that type of video isn't. I mean, Amazon of course had one, and everyone talked about it, and I think Home Depot as well did. But companies don't typically show you the anti-union video early on. My company, for instance, hasn't. And I think a big part of that is one, they know they're gonna get leaked, but two, I mean, again, it's so difficult to actually unionize retail that they only do it when there's a retail push, and even then, they'd rather do captive audience meetings because those are much more intimidating. Which again, I'll talk about whenever I do a video on, if I ever do a video on the topic, excuse me, but other than that, yeah, there's not really any response videos that I want to make or I'm really interested in making. But who knows? We'll see. What time period do you like to study? I mean, that's hands down Industrial Revolution. I know, right? Big surprise. The guy who likes to talk about organized labor likes the Industrial Revolution. But yeah, close second is definitely Weimar Germany. But hands down, yeah, I love to study and talk about the Industrial Revolution. So here's the final question. As you can tell, when I'm drunk, I like to ramble. So I'm not gonna keep rambling for too much longer. The question is, what's up with your Patreon? Okay, so let me explain. Basically, with my Patreon, I don't actually have one. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I've made a couple of gags, like jokes about like not having one. And I'm not taking a shot at anyone, right? Um, I'm not trying to say that because I mean, at the end of the day, making videos is labor, right? I'm not saying that people are. I'm not making fun of people who ask for people to donate to their Patreon. That's not the intent of that joke. The reason why I made a joke about it was basically I wasn't comfortable asking for money to make videos, mainly because I didn't know if I wanted to make more videos. Like after every video, up until the video that I did on the Union Pacific, after every video, I had a period of about a week where it was like, I don't know if I want to make videos anymore. Part of that has to do with how much time it takes to make the video, and because uh, my sad sack ass decided, hey, I'm gonna make videos as long as they need to be, or as long as I want them, more or less, and I'm gonna talk about everything that I want to talk about. And while for me, I really liked that, and I liked being able to talk about a lot of topics that people really are, not familiar with. On the flip side of that, it makes the videos quite long. Um, that Union Pacific video, I love that video, but like that video was too long. There was no reason for it to be that long. It should have been two separate videos. Don't even get me started in the Central Pacific video. That video is actually probably gonna be longer. And I don't know how to split that one up. So after that video, we're definitely not going to be doing long videos. It's really just better for me to make 3 videos of the same length talking about the topic rather than just doing one really long video. It definitely would help me make content quicker as well. Um, but yeah, I wasn't really like after, like I said, after every video, even with like the kind comments and all the likes that I was getting, I was still kind of like, I don't know if I want to devote a lot of time to this. Maybe I want to explore different hobbies. Um, of course, I don't have any other hobbies, so and eventually I reached that point after that Union Pacific video where I was kind of like, yeah, I like doing this. This is fun. It's fun to talk about history. It's fun reading about history. It actually allows me to talk about history and educate people on things that they don't know, and hopefully inspire them to do things just as in the same way that like whenever I read about organized labor history, it has inspired me to actually go out and try and organize my workplace. So that's been the main reason why I didn't have a Patreon. The second reason why I haven't had a Patreon as well has been I don't know. I've always kind of felt that once I start profiting from this, my relationship with it will change. Um, and it might seem weird to say like I don't know if I want to make money from the work that I'm doing, but in this instance, for me personally, it's weird. I feel like my relationship would change with how I make content, and it might be an extremely negative change. I mean, of course, it could be a positive change, right? I don't know. But that has definitely made me consider or reconsider that, taking money for content it might be a bad move for me. More recently now, I'm open to it, and I'm thinking about maybe actually doing a Patreon, or I'm also exploring some other potential ways to, I guess, profit off of this. I guess to put it bluntly. But the main thing that I get from making content isn't really money. It's first and foremost, it's about making something. Whether or not my content is bad. And I mean, there's definitely some things that I'm not satisfied with my videos that I want to improve, like audio quality and some of the visuals. But first and foremost, like it's just about making something that I can say, you know what, I did something, I made something, here it is, right? And that's for me and me alone, right? If only one person watched every one of my videos, I would still be fine with it because I made something. I made myself vulnerable and said, you know what, I want to make a project, and I followed through with the project. But also, I think that so many of the kind comments that I've gotten, and so much of the support that I've gotten from other content creators, um, I think that's made me reconsider that maybe um, I could improve my content by, yeah, having a Patreon of like $1 or $2 a month and putting that money into new resources for the series. Who knows? It's definitely something I want to think about. I won't make the decision probably for at least another 2 or 3 months, but yeah, that's what's up with my Patreon. It was basically more or less a joke, and it was something that I wasn't comfortable with, and still kind of aren't. But who knows? I'm slowly warming up to it, I think. And yeah, that was the last question. Thank you. Like I really don't know what else to say other than thank you. Uh, the amount of likes and comments and feedback that I've gotten from the series, and the amount of people who have said that, they enjoy the series, they enjoy watching my videos, they learn something from my videos. Like a lot of that really helps. Like it's really made me more confident, and it's made me want to continue to make videos. I think one of the funniest things about it is, and in one of my first video, actually my very first video on Phyllis Schlafly, I talked about how I don't have the voice for this, and I still kind of believe that I don't really have that like perfect radio voice, like a lot of content creators have. But I'm definitely a lot more comfortable with my voice on my projects as a result of a lot of the kind comments that I've received. Um, yeah, it's hard to believe I have 2,500 subscribers, and I'm really excited about the future. I'm excited about the next year in terms of content creation and educating more people about organized labor history. And there's not a lot of people who are doing organized labor history online, at least not in video form. And so I think it's definitely something. I feel like I'm filling a role. Like I'm actually doing something that a lot of people uh, would otherwise not be able to find. Uh, Now, recently there have been some others who are doing labor history. Abby for the People, who is I think Working Stiff USA on YouTube. She's done 3 videos as of the recording on organized labor history, and they're good. Like they're definitely right now she's covering a lot of the colonial stuff, which is something I didn't cover. So if you're interested in that period, you should definitely start watching her series. Just watch her series in general. It's actually quite good. It's a little different in the sense that she doesn't use a lot of, or she doesn't really use any visuals, but I don't think that takes away from her content at all. I think sometimes I kind of go overboard with visuals at times, but she definitely is making some great content, and it's really great to see other people talking about organized labor history, because I cannot cover it all. It is way too much. Um, but yeah, I'm rambling at this point. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for your comments, your likes. Thank you for engaging with me on Twitter. Thank you for promoting me. A lot of content creators have promoted me, including Thought Slime, Hardcore Lime. I mean, there's too many content creators to name who've promoted me. Yeah, so I guess I can say cheers to the new year. Cheers to another year of new content about organized labor history. Cheers to hopefully a new year where we're starting to revive organized labor. Prost, as the Germans say. Thank you. And I will see you on the next video. And I will say the Central Pacific video, I'm kind of reworking that one. It's going to be more of a review of Hell on Wheels. I know I've teased that on Twitter a few times, but I was like worried about copyright, and now I'm just like, fuck it, whatever. Whatever happens, happens. And then we're also going to be doing content, or I'm going to be doing content on the National Labor Union and kind of what that was. And basically, it's like a good video for your, AP US history students, I suppose. But I think you will get some good information out of that as well. And we will also be doing a series looking at the 8-hour day. Now, if you know me and you've seen my tweet about it, I really don't like content. There's only one good video, I would say, on the 8-hour day, and that video is from Tristan Step Back History, right? He's the only person who's made, I think, a sufficiently informative video on the topic. And I would also say that one video on the topic is not enough. It's the 8-hour day and just hour reductions in general are it was a fairly complex movement. It spanned well over a century. And I think that so much history is left out, especially when it comes to the 19th century when we talk about fighting for the 8-hour day and where it started and how they actually did it, and how you might be surprised, but they got the 8-hour day and legislation a lot earlier than you would think. But obviously, there were a lot of loopholes that affected the legislation, and therefore they didn't have the 8-hour day, right? They theoretically did, but in practice they didn't. And so we'll be talking about that. It's going to be like every other series that I start, where there's no end date, there's no end game. It's just talking about it over time. Yeah, but that's what's coming up in the future, and I will see you then. Goodbye.